Since Ultimate's return in 2021, 2024 was the year where the game's meta shifted the most. Some of the game's known top tiers fell out of favor, while others once considered gimmicky mid tiers carved themselves out to be staples in the current metagame. So, who stayed at the top, who fell off, and who got proven right when they say, "My low tier character is a secret top tier, I swear." As per my other meta deep dive videos, we will be taking results from different tier tournaments, utilizing Wumirang's system to categorize events. Alright, let's get into it, starting with which characters dropped off the hardest in 2024. Oh, and hey, if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. I'd really like to hit 10k subs by the mid-year. Alright, on to the video. When you think of Smash Ultimate top tiers that are not DLC characters, there are probably a few characters who come to mind. Roy, Sonic, Rob, Wolf. Yeah, hold on, let's stop there. Wolf's fall from the #1 represented character in fall 2019 to not even cracking into the top 20 for 2024 is... yeah, it's rough. As time's arrow marched on, it was clear that Wolf was lagging behind from the best. He doesn't have the overtuned advantage state of some of the strongest characters, and he doesn't have as easy of a time taking stocks, or rather easier to land kill confirms, leaving him sometimes feeling unreliable. Wolf still feels like an all-rounder, but instead of exceeding in every category, well, now he's just good. But good isn't good enough when competing against the exceptional X Factor this meta is starting to warp around. This does not mean in any way that Wolf is bad. He's still a really solid pick with players such as Jackal, Ouch, Orion, and Danny all still pushing the character, though potentially starting to feel the frustrations of Wolf's simplicity. This character is the one who by far fell off the hardest. Another initially perceived top tier that has kind of rather suddenly disappeared is Pac-Man. This one was kind of weird because when comparing the top Pac-Man reps between 2023 and 2024, T, JDV, and Mozai are all still present and bringing in results, even if T has shifted to Kazuya as his primary. Pac-Man's decline actually comes from Japan, with a few notable players from the year prior having little to no results in 2024. This may be due to Pac-Man not having the greatest matchup against Steve, but we'll get into this later. Then we have characters who mainly drop due to top players being less active, such as Samus, Sheik, and especially Jigglypuff, who tied in dropping in rank the hardest due to base mage and Sunra's lower attendance. That or straight up just getting outpaced, such as Byleth, or having a stronger alternative, with Ken in 2024 finally being seen as the lesser version of Ryu. But the character that truly dropped off of relevancy was Bowser. Normally in Smash games, and a big emphasis on normally, heavy Juggernaut-esque characters end up doing worse as the meta progresses due to punish games getting stronger and speedier characters dominating neutral, making heavy characters insane combo food and outpacing the damage they are supposed to specialize in. And Bowser was the prime target. DLC Fighter Pack 2 added in a bunch of characters that Bowser hates, and unfortunately for the Koopa King, some of those became the most common at the top representation in tournament results. Unless those characters somehow get removed from the game, Bowser's showtime on the stage has come to a curtain call. So, with these voids open in the meta, who took over? Characters with the ability to land high damaging combos, keep opponents trapped in disadvantage for extended periods of time, and find kills off of multiple kill confirms. While Wolf was looking over the ledge of relevance, Falco Spartan kicked him into the ditch, switching spots from the least relevant to most relevant space animal. For the longest time, it felt like Tilde was the only Falco really pushing the character, but over the years, Japan found not one, not two, but 3 Falcos who all not just became the main source of tournament results, but all ranked in the top 50 last season. First, we have Masa, a player who made it to this upper echelon of players before the rest. He is mainly known for showcasing Falco's mid-range zoning abilities through his blaster and reflector usage. Next is Motorized, arguably one of the flashiest Falcos through their combos and trashiest through their talk. And lastly, Rarikusu, a newer talent on the come-up who also utilizes Donkey Kong and Steve, aka I love holding my opponent in disadvantage characters, and these 3 have really pushed Falco forward, but aren't alone. Shupi, Nexus, Kashiya, Wolfin, and even still Tilde are all pretty active contributors, making Falco one of the highest increases in rank, but also the second most in raw percentage increase. Then we have Luigi. Originally seen as a gimmicky mid-tier who could be scary if they grab you at 0, Luigi now has not 1, not 2, but 3 Luigis in the top 50, plus another one in the top 100. Between a variety of routes to land death combos at very low percent, a wide variety of kill confirms into up special and down special, a very quick combo breaker with neutral air, and some actual tools that can be used to zone and open up opponents such as Fireball and Zaire, Luigi has quickly risen in the community's opinion as a legitimate threatening character. and this character is finding success across the world. Lugia has been terrifying Europe for years. Waka has been contained in Mexico, but sweeping through Tijuana. West Japan has a few making waves, with Navy coming back top 8ing Subambatos after not doing so since 2019. But of course, the biggest adjuster was Raru, cracking into the top 10 with solo Luigi, winning not just his first major, but also his first super major this year, and even top 8ing the biggest North American tournament during his international debut. Raru has shown Luigi can take incredibly consistent, for the most part, results at the very top. We also had other characters with strong combo games such as Corrin and Kirby find a rise, with Corrin winning their first major under Shattuck. Hero's also shown a big upswing, with 2 making the top 50 and finding even more upcoming players controlling his RNG buffs to find success. Zero Suit Samus returned, mainly due to her best player Mars returning. Low tiers found new reps to push the characters forward, such as TM7's Zap for Bowser Jr. and Tora for Ike, but there's only one character that had a big jump amongst the roster, jumping more than double the spots the second most improved character had increased by. Melee was not the only game going through a Donkey Kong renaissance. The leader of the bunch swung up 35 spots across the roster and had the 3rd highest percentage increase in the game. With the meta trending towards characters with great punish game and reliable kill confirms, DK ended up fitting in despite being a heavy and having horrible disadvantage. If you've been watching Ultimate recently, you probably know the top 2 DKs. Chunky Kong in the US, having found wins over top players such as Light, and as mentioned earlier, Rarikusu, who notably beat Spargo at Delta 8. And of course, those aren't the only ones, as Donkey Kong has shown strong results from pretty much across the globe. But to say DK rose the most would be disingenuous. While their rank remained completely the same, this one character rose the highest in percentage above any. Okay, let's finally talk about Steve. Out of every gear in Smash Ultimate, Steve now sits with the highest percentage of results over any other character to reach number 1. He is by far the most present character in Smash Ultimate's meta, but it isn't exactly how you think. To talk about this, we need to do a deep dive into regional differences and how the metas have changed in North America, Japan, and Europe between 2023 and 2024. Let's start with North America. Between these 2 years, the top 3 have remained the same. Steve, Rob, and Palutena still are taking up those slots in respective order. Mario, Wolf, and Bayonetta were all replaced by Cloud, Kazuya, and Game & Watch, and Joker saw an overall increase while Snake and Roy dropped. When you take a closer look at Steve though, you'll see the increase in percentage is definitely not enough to push Steve to be this dominant in comparison to past years. For the most part, his presence in North America has actually pretty much been the same between both years. So let's look at Europe. Europe has a smaller sample size compared to other regions, so the results here are a bit more volatile. Samus was replaced with Palutena as the top character in Europe. Steve still remains a close second, just like last year, and while the percentage increase is higher than North America, that is more due to the lower sample size. Rob and Greninja saw an overall increase, and lastly Wario, Wolf, and Cloud all did not return, but were replaced by more standard meta characters such as Kazuya, Min Min, and Snake. So that leaves last Japan. Olimar, Fox, and especially Cloud dropped out of the top 10, and they were replaced with Kazuya, Yoshi, and all the way up at number 2 being Falco. Joker returns in the same spot, and Diddy and Min Min both drop lower amongst the top 10. Pyra, Mithra, and Rob see an overall increase, and of course sitting at number 1 is Steve. And oh man, look at that percent increase. Almost 75% more than the year prior, Steve has taken over Japan, and is where a huge spike in the results are coming from. From a top level perspective, Japan had 7 different Steve users make the top 50 in 2024, and 11 who ended up ranked throughout the whole year. On a macro level, 22 of the 79 players contributing results are from Japan, and almost half of the Steve results come from Japanese events. The country has embraced the top tier for what he is, and if you plan on competing in Japan, be prepared to fight a strong Steve somewhere along the bracket. With all that said, let's take a final look at the whole year. 33 characters made it over 1% this year, which is where we usually declare a character as meta relevant. This is actually the lowest number of characters to ever do so in a year of Ultimate, with the second lowest being all the way back in 2019 at 35. When you look at why, well, 1, we have a character who broke 5% of results for the first time ever in a full year. It's going to take away a lot more to the lower tier characters. And 2, there's more consolidation of results towards the top characters, with 17 having over 2%, which is higher than most recent years. And speaking of the top, debuting for the first time in the top 10 are Kazuya, Falco, and Luigi. Donkey Kong is the only new character to break over 1% over these 5 years of offline play. So far, we've only really talked about quantitative results, but what about the qualitative? Despite what the numbers may tell you this year, this has been the most diverse year in terms of actual winners. 17 different characters have won a major this year, with Bayonetta under Tamapi Taifuku, Corrin under Shattuck, Luigi under Raru, Min under Doramigi, and Ryu under Ashimo all taking their first major gold medals ever. Even making the top cut has expanded a ton, as 54 different characters made top 8 at a major event this year. And across the entire board, 56 different characters have won a C tier or higher event. So despite this season appearing as one dominated by top tiers and looking like characters can't do it from a qualitative perspective, that's just straight up not true when you actually look at the top results. Despite being 4 years into offline Ultimate, when you look at the quirky low tiers who make top 100, when you see a King K. Rool make top 8 at a major this new season already, the answer really is, if you're good enough, you can make it work. Ultimate may be old, but 2024 was one of the most interesting years in the game. And here's to another filled with the diversity Ultimate's roster is capable of. Alright, that pretty much concludes this video. I'm gonna have scrolling right now pretty much what was the player who gave the characters the most results each year going through while I do this outro. So if you're ever looking for VODs or anything about a character, these are probably the players that have the most out there for the past year. Thank you for watching. These results and everything about this takes time, so if you are interested in seeing all the data, it only costs $1 on my Patreon to get access to all the character stats that I've ever collected for any of the games I've talked about on this channel. And if you didn't know, I have a small second channel called Speakeasy. I've been doing some small streams talking about pretty much Smash in general, and it's just really a topic talk kind of thing. And if you're interested in that less edited, just me in front of a camera talking about stuff, go check it out. All right, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.